Hi everybody, I'm Danny at Danigirlart, and today is my second lesson for my series I've titled Art from the Heart. And I'm working in a sketchbook. It is a square one. I'm not putting which sketchbook it is below because it's not one that I would probably recommend. And I figured out why. You can see how the pages are bending a little bit. There's perforation to it. So I don't like that you can tear these pages out. It makes me feel like the book isn't as stable, but I'm going to continue using it and see how I feel at the end. All right, so I'm starting off by doing another border today, and I am using some painter's tape to line the edges, so at the end when I'm done I can pull this up and have a white border. Not necessary, just something if you want to go ahead and try doing this as well. I'm starting with some acrylic paint, and you can use any mediums that you want, any supplies you have. Don't go out and purchase anything extra, substitute or add, whatever you want to do. I'm going to be painting my background here, but rather than using a paintbrush, I'm going to be using a palette knife. And this is something that you may not have on hand. So if you don't have this, what you could do is take a plastic knife and use that. It's not going to be as flexible as a palette knife, but it's going to give you some more interest and have a different approach to adding our paint. So here's my palette knife, and it is flexible, and I'm going to go in and take the paint right out of the jar and just kind of lay it down on here. And be careful when you are switching colors. You are going to want to clean this palette knife and make sure that there's no other paint mixing into your other tubes. So I'm going and I'm cleaning this, and I'm going to take another lighter color. I'm using blues today, and I'm going to add this in. And just again, spread it around using the sides, the back, and just kind of mixing them together. I'm also going to use a little bit of white, and this is a little bit of a thinner acrylic that I'm going to get, and I'm going to be able to just squeeze this right onto the paper. And then again, with my palette knife, I'm going to spread it around. This is so cool. I just love the texture that you create with this, and this background alone could be its own piece of artwork and be done at this point. Have fun doing this. I'm going to take some purples now. This is a less expensive type of brand of acrylic paints. This is Liquitex, really accessible in most art stores and crafting stores, Amazon too. And these are little tiny ones, so you can try out the colors. So I thought I'd continue with a palette knife, but because there was so much texture and it was very bumpy and this had been dry, if it wasn't dry I could have done it, it just wasn't really feeling right to me. I wasn't comfortable. You could definitely go ahead and try the whole thing with a palette knife. I've done plenty of paintings with all just palette knives, but I wasn't happy with this today. So I'm switching over to a brush now. And I'm going to make a few hearts. This time I'm using purples, adding some white on this blue background that I've created. Make sure that everything is dry before moving on. I'm going to take a black Posca paint marker, and I'm going to use the Zentangle pattern heart flower. And I'll post below the link so that you can see the step out on how to draw this. And this was actually created by a 10-year-old. So I think it's super cool that the young ones are doing step outs at a young age too. So I'm going to add a series of these, preferably an odd number with different heights of the heart flower. So I'm drawing right over everything that's here. I don't love how the placement of these two right next to each other came out, so I'm popping in another little heart right above this. Make that one a little bit higher. I'm going to use a darker purple acrylic paint along with the black, and I have on the side off camera just a little palette that I'm mixing my colors, and I'm going to fill in the hearts, the parts of the heart flower that are on top, just the hearts. And remember, if you want to speed the process along, you can always use a hairdryer or a heat wand in between steps before you move on. I have Neocolor 2s out, but before I start with that, I'm going to take a white Posca paint marker. And there were some little details in the inside part of the hearts on heart flower. So I'm going to indicate those on the inside with the Posca paint marker at this time. Alright, so I have a black Neocolor, and everything I always do is just a suggestion. You don't have to do this. I just feel like these lines are just too neat looking and very thin and narrow, so I'm kind of just making them a little bit sketchier and wider with this Neocolor. And I like this look better just as far as what's going on with the rest of the composition. So I'm just adding little bits and pieces throughout. And I'm going to take some purples and add a little bit of purple, a little variation, a little texture, a little shading to these background hearts. So just going around the side. I'm not worrying about a light source. I don't care if the light's coming from the right, the left, the top, the bottom. It can be coming in all different directions. I'm not concerned about that. This is just abstract and just having fun and being free. So playing around with these purples for a little bit. And then maybe add a little bit of white too. So this is a little bit softer than using the paint marker. Going in, pressing light, and adding more pressure as you feel that you need the area to be a little bit darker. And again, these are water soluble. However, I am using them dry today because I like how the texture of that looks. And anywhere else you feel like you want to go in and add a little bit more, just keep switching back and forth between your colors, enjoying the process, having fun until you reach the look that you desire. I want a thinner point, so I'm taking a Signo Uniball white pen and adding a few little highlights around the spiral part of the heart flower. And I'm also going to do that along the stem as well. I just love this part, peeling the tape back, so be careful, make sure that everything is dry before you do this. Hopefully you pressed it down nicely at the beginning so that you have no seepage, but if you do, just embrace it. No mistakes, and it'll just be part of your completed work. Sometimes I have a hard time finding what's on top and what's on bottom, and for some reason this one's extra difficult with peeling, so I'm going to grab a X-Acto knife and just see if I can peel this up before I wind up tearing the paper. So if you need something just to slip under it for assistance, then you can do that. How cool is that with the border now nice and crisp versus the texture and the whimsical feel? You can have that childlike feel, especially since that one pattern was created by a child. Super fun. So I'm going to place down this sticker from this quote sticker book that I have. Again, this was a Amazon purchase. I'm not affiliated with any of these sites. I don't get anything from them. I just am sharing some of the tools that I use. And in this book, as I flip through, you can see that there are lots of different colors, a lot of replication between the phrases with different colors. But there was this nice purple one that said, "Be the reason someone believes in the goodness of people." And I think that for me was very telling for my week, and I found it perfect for this. So there you have it. This was lesson 2 of Art for the Heart, and I have finalized that this is going to be a Monday posting for the time being. Let's just put a little date on here, and this is February 2025, and I hope to see you soon.